Up first, we are joined by Belararox with the ticker code BRX, a mineral explorer focused on securing and developing resources to meet the surge in demand from the technology, battery, and renewable energy markets. To tell us more, today I'm joined by Managing Director Arvind Misra. Good morning.
Good morning, Jane, and thank you to you for inviting us to talk to your audience. Belararox is as in your introduction you said, is a company that is focusing on exploring for battery minerals and the future-facing metals required for the decarbonized world. And we are mainly focused on a project which happens to be in New South Wales in the famous Lachlan Fold Belt. We're a relatively new company. We only listed in January this year. And since listing, we have accomplished a lot of work, which obviously we have announced over the time in the last 9 months. When we listed the company, we had this project Belara, which was already had a job 2004 defined, which was done by previous owner Arvind, and which drilled several holes and historical holes drilled by Rio Tinto and all combined all of that, they produced a resource. So one of the key goals or the key objectives of the IPO money that we raised were to go and convert that 2004 resource to 2012 code. And we promised that we will go into a lot more geophysics work, which is gravity and IP and some magnetics work. So we have completed all of that work. We drilled about 5,700 meters of RC and diamond holes. Combined all of that, we have been able to successfully publish our maiden resource a few weeks ago. So we have accomplished everything that we promised at the time of the IPO. So I'm very happy to be where I am now in the journey. Within 9 months of my listing, I have a significant maiden resource. So as I said, this mineral resource that we published is about 5 million tons, grading about 3.4% zinc equivalent. So yeah, the deposit has got zinc, copper, lead, silver, and gold. The main difference or the comparison from the last one, if we can draw a comparison, they're not apple to apple just for the sake of getting a relative scale on the two resources. So in the terms of the tonnage, we have doubled the tonnage. And in terms of the metal value, we have got a lot more copper and newly defined gold, which previous resource didn't have. So we have significantly increased the metal value into the resource that we have compared to the resource model before. In addition to that, the geophysics work we have done mainly the gradient IP and also the gravity work, which extends much beyond the envelope of 700 meters on surface of the Belara project and 200 meters on the south project Native Bee. We have gone much beyond that, and we have found about 1.5 kilometer long anomaly, which is very, very similar in geology and geophysics to Belara. The main focus for us in the near future. Hopefully, we start our drilling the next quarter. And beyond that, we have got 20 more kilometers of corridor, which is untested, but looks like similar mineralized trend that we can see from the old magnetics data. We are a company which are held very tightly. We have got roughly in our top 20 holds about 60% of our shares. And we are well funded. I did a capital raising not long ago, which underpins the growth of the company in terms of being able to go and drill more holes and hopefully have some exciting results. And we are fully funded for that next round of drilling and the work we have to do in 2023. In terms of the location of the project, if you look on the right-hand side, the picture there, so you can see the Sydney, and from Sydney northwest, there is the Belara mine, which is nearby towns are Dubbo, Muzzy, and Orange. So it happens to be in an area where there is a lot of mining activity, like near Orange, a lot of big players there. And it's very well serviced by this town, Muzzy, which is about 10,000 odd people there. So very well located, highway passes through the leases we have, and getting the skill around for the area has not been that challenging as other parts of Australia has experienced. If you look on the left-hand side, The black polygon is the lease that has been, but that's where we are working, EL 9184. On the north is the Belara mine. South of that is the Native Bee mine. So the two eastern side blocks, EL 6176 and 6287, we have done the native title agreement on them. We are now waiting for the remaining formalities to be done, and hopefully we get those two leases also granted to us in the probably, if not this quarter, then definitely next quarter. And that presents us a lot of exciting opportunities, particularly that corridor that extends from Belara, Native Bee, and all the way to south, where the blue lines are being shown, 20-kilometer corridor. And then the prospectivity on the most eastern side lease is known for some old illegal working, and nobody knows where the gold that were mined before comes from. So some exciting opportunity in that area. This slide just shows that the red line on the left-hand side is the extent of Belara, the old resource boundary line, and all the holes we have drilled, which is basically all the red dots and the black dots of the holes that all be drilled by the previous owners, Ironbark, Rio Tinto, and others. So a lot of holes there, which obviously have been used to produce inferred resource by our competent person. And in this case, we have used SRK to do the assessment. On the second right-hand side, the picture shows that Native Bee, the holes that we drilled again in the red color, and the old holes in the black colors. This is quite exciting and telling. As you can see, it shows where the high grades are and how they are sort of trending. You can see the trend south, north and below, and it looks like high grade concentration is happening in that area, which is represented by the black, the pink, and the red color. And it looks like the ore body continues on for the south. We obviously have had some very good hits. You can see that listed on the right-hand side, there's 7 meters of very high grade zinc, 2.5%, in the copper about 2.5%. And in the core of that is 3 meters at 4.73% zinc and 5.85% like that. So on the surface, it seems like very, very rich in copper and also zinc. But as it goes down, particularly on the northern side, there are some very thick intersections like 9 meters and 16.5 meters in terms of zinc equivalents. Those thicker intersections could be up to 5-6% zinc equivalent. We're excited about this plunge that's going south that we have identified, and we're planning to drill some holes to see whether this continues on beyond the envelope that we have. This is just a typical intersection that shows, as you can see from the top, and it looks like ore body thickness as it goes down. At the top, it's like 5 meters to 7 meters in some holes. And the bottom, you can see 16.5, and combine this hole at the bottom, we have 13.5 meter thickness. It bodes well for the future resource upgrades, particularly if we are able to hit thicker and deeper holes outside the envelope that we have drilled so far. This is the most exciting part of my next part of the work that I'm going to do. So this old drilling and the old resource envelope is shown there by pink color, and that only extends about 150 meters below. That NBRC002 is the hole we drilled to test the depth, because previous holes were only about 70 to 100 meters, and it came out with good results, 6 meters at those grades, 2.1% zinc and 0.19% copper. So it shows the depth extension there. But more importantly, if you look south of that pink color envelope, there's an old shaft, and there has been no drilling. And there was some great rock chip samples there. There's been no drilling done from the southern boundary of the resource to the shaft, the old workings. There are about half a dozen shafts, old workings, which were mined for very, very high grade copper. May I remind you, just for the information, that the historical mine between Belara and Native Bee, which were done around World War time, they were mining 3 to 5% copper and 2 to 4.5 grams per ton of gold and some silver. It is known for a very high grade copper, and there has been no drilling. So once we that's where we are drilling next. I mean, I don't know why they didn't drill, probably because the terrain is a bit more steep there. So we are working on that now, making new access and getting all the other things ready to start the drilling there. And beyond that, we have 1 more kilometers beyond the shaft shown there. So total of 1.5 kilometers, very, very prospective and Belara lookalike in terms of geology and geophysics that we are looking forward to drilling, and we remain very excited about that part of our project in the next step of our journey. And that's a typical intersection shown here again. As you can see, NBRC 001 and NBRC 002, and it remains open at depth. And obviously, as I discussed in the previous slide, along a strike about 1.5 kilometers is very, very prospective. This is the magnetic inversion shown here, which is a long section. It shows the potential. You can see the black outlines around those thick red colors, which are the current resource, defined resource. And you can see there's plenty of potential, both south of Native Bee, depth extensions, the plunges, and probably between the Belara and Native Bee, there are some very high magnetic highs that we have seen in the other geophysics results showing very high intensity. They also look attractive to see if there are some parallel trend from Belara to Native Bee on the eastern and western side. These 3 slides shows very zinc anomalies and matching them with the 3 different types of geophysics work we have done. So on the first one is results and overlaid with the magnetics. On the middle one is a soil overlaid with gradient array IP, and the right one is soil with the gravity. And as you can see, with all of them, it shows that it matches very nicely with all the 3 results. And that's why we believe the geology and geophysics results of the southern portion of the Native Bee is the most prospective part, and it looks very, very similar to Belara in terms of geology and geophysics. And beyond that, the corridor, starting from Belara and Native Bee south all the way, similar rocks looks like, and the trend carries on. This is where the next stage of the work will be drilling the south of Native Bee, and then also we'll be flying some drone magnetics to cover that part of the 20 kilometer and see if we can spot similar kind of responses that we can get from the rock and plan our further detailed geophysics in on-ground work. So what's coming in terms of our upcoming program and matching announcements with them? Obviously, we have published them already this time. We are finalizing our drill planning, getting all the approvals in place, and working with the prospective contractors. All that work will be done this quarter. Next quarter, we'll start the extension drilling. Also, we'll start regional exploration for potential extension and repetition of massive sulfide mineralization. And we'll be also commencing the drilling at our project in Western Australia, which is a gold project near Coolgardie. And beyond that, hopefully we update the resource with the results we get into the drilling, from the drilling, and we'll publish the developing results, and we'll also define regional targets based upon the work that we plan to do. In summary, we have completed maiden mineral resource estimate in accordance with JORC 2012 code over the historic mines at Belara and Native Bee. New geology targets identified along the strike extensions of known Belara and Native Bee mineralization, which will require significant exploration drilling. Belararox is fully funded for phase 2 drilling at Belara and Native Bee extension and scoping of regional exploration potential. We'll commence the drilling probably next quarter, hopefully February, maybe even January, as long as rain stops and we have some dry spell, we'll commence the drilling. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm happy to take questions if there are any.
Thank you for the great presentation, Arvind. We have had a couple of questions, so let me jump into them. So following the maiden mineral resource estimate that you put out earlier this year, can you provide further information on the level of upgrade that you'll be targeting?
Oh, look, it's very hard to put a number without having done the drilling, but I can just give you some estimation or some rough guideline. So far, we have covered a strike length of 700 meters at Belara and about 200 meters at Native Bee, call it 100 meters of strike length At Belara, we have done 300 meter at to depth, and at Native Bee, it's about 150 meter average depth. From the drilling program that we are carrying out, the strike length of that would be closer to 1.5 kilometers, and we'll be drill testing up to 200 meters. And that area is known. Historically, we have seen the reports which shows thickness may vary from 2 to 6 meters thickness. So that's the extent of the information that we have. And unless we drill and get the results and do the modeling, it's very hard for us to put any number onto that.
Wonderful. Well, we do actually have a couple of other questions that are coming through, but we are running out of time. So I would encourage webinar attendees to reach out via the contact details on the bottom of the ASX releases if they've got further questions. But thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Jane, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity you provided us, and look forward to talking to you again.